Thanks for staying with us now. The judiciary, like all citizens of this country, cannot be passive onlookers when any person attempts to subvert the admission of justice, and will not hesitate to use the powers available to it to do justice in cases before it. In a situation where the judiciary goes cap in hand to the executive, it's an unhealthy place for the administration of justice. Now, in this situation of who pays the piper dictates the tune must not be allowed to continue without So without financial autonomy, there cannot be judicial independence. Now, these are excerpts from the publication written by Dr. Muiz Banire, SAN, on the Sun News, which was published sometime very recently. Now, we are happy to be hosting him live in studio. Now, for those that don't know, Dr. Muiz Banire is a social commentator, a senior advocate of Nigeria, and a very passionate and patriotic Nigerian who has occupied various leadership roles. And he has joined us tonight to dissect the ongoing judicial issues in our nation. Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow, or you send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. All right, so before we bring in Dr. Muiz Banire in like a minute or two, Lami, tell us, what is the problem? Because you're the only lawyer here. Me, I am confused. Like, why would we have strikes happening in the judicial system? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it doesn't make sense to anybody, because that's supposed to be the last hope of the common man. The courts are always supposed to be, as we speak, there are a whole lot of people and awaiting detention. There are a whole lot of issues that are now on, in abeyance, which is not good for the country. But what is even nauseating, agitating to me is that there's a whole lot of culture of silence around this. Nobody's acting like this is an emergency situation. If you go to the prisons, you need to go and see the number of people that are waiting trials. There are a whole lot of commerce, commercial, economic, everything is rested on this sector. Sorry, on this branch of the government. And everybody's keeping quiet like nothing is happening. I don't want to say much. I want Dr. Banire to come and dissect it for us before he says, no, you're not correct.
You want to add something to that? Because this is a legal matter. Before somebody come and take me to jail, I don't want to go to jail, because right now, remember what we were talking about? I said, don't get arrested, because if you get arrested this time, there's nobody to bail you out.
Can you imagine the disaster for people who are waiting? Those are just the inmates.
I mean, that's why people justified some of the prison breaks that happened. But let's bring in Dr. Muiz Banire. Thank you so much again for joining us, Dr. Muiz. We're so happy to be hosting you live in studio. And Nigeria is a very, very interesting country, as we all know. And you have served in various capacities in the country. Tell us, maybe you should just give us a breakdown what this implies, because for me, I think this is the first time I would hear that. I'm very young, so this is the first time I'm hearing that.
No, there was one that happened, that occurred for about 3 weeks.
Yeah. So I'm at total loss of what is happening. So maybe you should break it down to us. What's the real issue happening in the judicial structure in Nigeria?
Well, it's not the judiciary that is on strike.
It's
judiciary workers that are on strike.
But without them, we can't function.
Yes. What are they on strike for? They are on strike because of you and me. It's not a strictly legal matter. It's a matter that affects practically every Nigerian. We all seek justice day to day in the nation. And for you to have justice, there are certain things that must happen. And essentially what they are fighting for now is that, to a certain extent, we have 3 organs of government because of the federal system that we run today and the presidential system. We have the legislature, you have the judiciary, and you have the executive. And of course, they are all based on one principle, separation of powers. Each must function in accordance with its mandate. How do you ensure that happens? And that we have what is called checks and balances in the system, simply when all of them are allowed to be independent on issues. For example, the legislature doing the laws that they know how best and they are charged with, the judiciary interpreting the law and administering justice, and executing justice, projects and other issues that are involved. But The situation we have now is a situation where we have a sort of financial dependence of the judiciary largely on the executive to survive. So that has given birth to several malaise. Several. Imagine a judge giving a judgment possibly against the state government on good ground. And the judge eventually maybe wants to go for a training, or unfortunately is ill, and the file has to be taken to the governor. And once they tag him anti-government judge, that's the end. The man is allowed to die off, if you like. The same thing happens. How many, you hear every day in the news, this governor gave 10 vehicles to judiciary. They celebrate it. How many times have you seen them when they are giving members of executive vehicles that they go there and advertise it? How many times, even ordinary directors, when they give them vehicles, they do and parade it in the public? Even some of the basic things, they want to go for training today. They have to go to the governor to go and seek permission to say, we want to go. It depends on how much the governor approves that will determine how many judges can go for such training. The judicial workers themselves, there is no money to train them. That's why when you go to the most courts today in Nigeria, you find that there is a lot of rot in the system, a lot of incompetence within the system because nobody is training them. And what is basically responsible is that there is no fund. There is no fund because the government has not released funds for us to do this or that. Whereas the Constitution is explicit and provide for it to say that the money for we to cater for the interests of the judiciary must be sent to the head of the court, each court. But we don't have that happening. It's explicit there. It's there. Not only that, there are 3 cases that have been fought successfully on this issue, saying that they must have their own financial autonomy, just like the legislature and the executive. But unfortunately, this is not happening. And you know, unfortunately, the judges can't talk. They must not be seen to be talking in the public. So except the Nigerian Bar Association or the judiciary workers as they are embarking on now, nobody will talk. And it's so bad, the situation is so bad that I must tell you that it has assumed such a magnitude that even lawyers are beginning to feel that if you have a grouse against the state government and you go to a state court for justice, you can't get justice. It's that bad now. So this must be tamed and it must be resolved. As far as I'm concerned, it's even impeachable, if not that they have even protection under Section 108. They ought to be taken for contempt because there are judgments already saying that this thing must be done. So these are the issues. So it's not unlike most other strikes. Judiciary workers are not asking for improved conditions of service. It's not that. It's not that. They are just saying that, look, comply with the provision of the Constitution. Simple and straightforward. Nothing beyond that. And it affects all of us. Whether you are a lawyer or you are not a lawyer and you want justice dispensed, then you must look for it. Some judges don't even have vehicles to go to court. They have to mix up in the public transport with accused person at times.
Which is very scary.
It's scary and dangerous. Some of them don't even have houses.
Magistrate,
you get to some courts, you sit on the benches like this, it collapses on you. It goes, some looks like dungeon. Courtroom in some places that if you visit yourself, like storage facility.
No electricity most of the time.
This is very scary.
So it's a very, very
Can I go first?
appalling situation.
Okay, you want to go
Let me
first.
just
Sorry.
ask a question. Okay, so I've heard everything you said and our viewers are watching. I want you to tell us what the implications are for the general public.
Well, which one of them now? Is it the strike or the issue of financial autonomy?
The strike.
The strike, of course, it has grave implications. In the first instance, a lot of commercial cases are paralyzed presently. A lot of defendants, as we call them, accused persons, are in prison right now. They cannot be tried. Some are even, you even find a situation where some of them have been granted bail and needs to be perfected. It couldn't be perfected, something that could have been done in 1 or 2 days.
They are there now. The lawyers.
Yeah, they are there. The lawyers themselves are suffering, particularly those in litigation. They can't access the court. Even litigants generally, also potential litigants are suffering because their cases could not be filed. And all this thing has its own nexus with the economy itself.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, you just discover that, look,
nothing is happening.
Exactly.
Right.
And nobody, to what is the situation, in fact, if you like, it has multiplier effect even on security. Because we are talking about 45% on youth unemployment. You are talking of over 33% unemployment generally in the country. You are looking for direct investment. Who will bring investment into a country?
I was going to say that I was just going to say that even if the investors come, sure they will do CAC documentation, they will do all those registration. Is it not lawyers that they use to do some of these things?
Not only that, even beyond that, they want a situation, a place where they can get justice. If you can't get justice, why will you go and endanger your money? You won't go and endanger your investment anywhere.
Because if I bring the money and I dupe you,
that's the end of the matter.
Wow.
Okay, my question is, our democracy, this one that we are in at the moment, started in 1999, and which ushered in a new constitution. So between 1999 and 2021, we have 22 years. Why has this been ongoing for so long?
Well, what has happened is that what you have said initially, this is the second major strike of the judiciary worker. There was one in 2015. It's always this habit of saying, okay, let's wait, let's appeal to them. You see, it seems in this our own client, people are not used to anything appeal. Until you start seeing strike here and strike there. That's why everybody is now embarking on strike action all over the world, because when you appeal, you engage, nothing comes out of it. And that is why it has taken that long. Because everybody, the judges, like I said to you, the judges won't talk under any circumstance, no matter what is happening. They will just do their best within what is available. The judiciary, knowing the situation, and the lawyers themselves are the people that ought to take it on. And to a certain extent, the NBA will be looking at it from the angle of engagement. And this is why we have had such a pause for a long time. But okay, it's now unbearable. The situation is degenerating so badly now.
Okay, so Dr. Banire, who are the main culprits?
Oh, the governors.
There are 36 governors in Nigeria.
Yes, it's the governors.
And what are they saying about this? This is the
third
third
week. They are just telling stories.
What are the stories?
No, because this is scary for me.
Yes.
You know why I say so that it's scary? Because if we have, like citizens, if we have any issue, right, the next thing we are supposed to do in a sane climate is to sue the person that you have issues with. So if we are saying that these people are not doing their jobs and we want to bring them to justice and bring them to book, you are the people that will come and meet, and you put on strike. How can we find a way to fight this without a strike? That's number one. Number two, why is it that the legislative arm of government and the executives, they have this autonomy, and why are they refusing? Do you think there's any political undertone why it's been denied for the judicial arm of the government?
Well, from my personal perspective, it's a function of control. You want to control judiciary, it's simple. On the other hand, their own argument, which is for me is not possible, is to say that, look, revenue does not come in one day. It's like it's a stream. So it's difficult for us to implement and say, take your own share. I take my own share. But I've said to them that, look, if we say monthly, everybody understand how much will come up at the end of the day. Work on percentage. Whatever comes in, work on percentage. You know, the judiciary, for example, can have 15% or 25%. The legislature can have 15%. You can have 16%. So whatever amount comes at the end, share it out to each respective organ and let them go and face their own basic mandate. That is my view. But beyond that, like I said, somebody somewhere wants to be in charge of not only the executive, he wants to extend his own mandate to the judiciary to say, okay, I control that.
It is what I say that you're going to do. But how can us, the citizens now, hold this government to account so that they can give you this autonomy that you're asking?
Well, I think it's getting to a point that everybody now knows that it's something that is too fundamental to overlook. The good news is that even the president appreciates the same point. You recall some few months ago, he came up with executive order number 10 to this effect to say implement the provision of the Constitution. Yeah. Although, of course, in my view, that's a surplusage. It's not even necessary and does not have so much legal force. Because the Constitution is even clear. You do not need any executive order for that purpose. But at least coming from the president has some measure of traction in it. Now, that is number one. Number two is the reality that when you look at what is on ground now, the legislature can't do much. They've done their own bit. The provision of the law is clear, is there already. So,
I beg to disagree, Dr.
Yes.
Banire. You said the 36 governors in Nigeria are the main culprits of this. And this is a constitutional issue.
Yes.
So it means they are infringing on a constitutional provision, which is impeachable. So why are you saying that the legislature cannot do anything?
By saying that they can't do much, I mean, in terms of enforcing this one, the only what they can do is to sanction them. Which I convert in my earlier write-up to say that, look, there are two options ordinarily. One, we have been to hold them for contempt, but we can't do that because they have this immunity clause in their favor. On the other hand, we have the option of impeaching them. But we all know what happens in those places, that in most cases, we do not have people with,
independent legislature.
Independent legislature equally. We do not have that one. Until we start having independent legislature that even knows its honor, that even understand issues. So in large, most of them don't even understand it. Go there now and ask them. If you ask them, they don't even know what is up. That is bad.
But you keep saying they don't have liver. So if they don't have liver, is it me that will not have liver to do the
No,
work?
but what I see from this is that so that we are more politically active in the next cycle. Because a lot of people don't know even their legislators. Their legislators. We don't know who they are. We just go on that day and we don't even bother to vote for them.
Parties.
Thinking that they are not important in the electoral cycle.
Yeah.
But they are very important.
I think that's the point that I was trying to make the last time, that the quality of the people we have in the parliament is not that great. That's the point. And that is we are to be blamed, all of us.
Yeah.
Particularly the elites and the middle class are to be blamed. Because I tell you without fear of contradiction that over 70% of the people that determines our future, our leadership in Nigeria, are those that are uninformed. Who know next to nothing. They do not even know the reason why they are voting, much less knowing who they are voting for. And that's where we are guilty. If at the barest minimum beyond our vote, we can go out there, particularly the media, to educate these people on the nexus between their life and their vote, then we will be able to achieve much. But as we are now, I'm not too optimistic that we are heading in any direction that is positive.
Okay, let me ask something. Now that we've established that this affects everybody, the general public, every citizen of Nigeria, how can we assist? Because if we all sit down and do nothing and everyone is just quiet and we're looking at the judicial body handle this by themselves, we will stay here for a very long time and things are going to go bad. I mean, things are already bad. It's just going to get worse. And people would suffer. So how can we help
God
as
bless
citizens?
you.
How
I
can we
think
help?
that you mentioned one of the ways to help is what we are doing right now. Is to enlighten the people on the issues, because people don't even understand the issue. They always assume it's the same. It's like any other strike where people are asking for additional pay, additional incentive. No, it's different. This strike is about all of us. It's about justice. If you are looking for justice and you want justice, and without justice, what we continue to have is banditry, kidnapping, arson, treason. All these issues will continue to go on. So to tame those one and to arrest it, the only option for us is to ensure that the judiciary functions and function efficiently and effectively. So that is one of the ways to deal with it. The other one, of course, is to mobilize the generality of the people. Let us have one voice on this thing. Let Nigerians generally agree that this must be implemented in our collective interest and in the interest of the nation.
Okay, I was going to ask, because you see, it's one thing for us to say we want to mobilize. It's another thing for all of us to be on the same page. Within the judiciary, are you all on the same page for this stand on autonomy? Because if we keep having Judases, that as you are trying to sort this problem, they are saying that, because that's why I don't believe in strikes. I mean, what's it called? Protest. Because in the midst of that protest, some people will go behind to make sure that, you know, they do their own ekunja and all of that. So the judicial body in itself, how united are they to push this thing through? Because you kept on harping on the fact that they cannot talk. So are you sure that they are ready for this autonomy? Are you sure they are ready for this fight?
I'm so much optimistic about it. You see, the truth of the matter is that beyond being a legal practitioner, I happen to be a member of the National Judicial Council that is responsible for judges' issues generally in the country. And I do know that they are ready and they want it, they seek it. But unfortunately, like I said to you, the position, the attachment does not permit them to go out there and be discussing the way I'm discussing now. The best they can do is to grumble within their bedroom or their courtroom. They can't go out there. That's the rule. Now, But I can tell you for free that one, confidently and comfortably, majority of all the stakeholders in the judiciary are on the same page on this issue. That is why you find lawyers out today all over the nation. And judges, I do not even see a single judge saying I don't want it. The only caveat which I expect from you to raise is that there are some people, there is a school of thought that believes that, look, why do we want to start saddling the head of courts who are equally judges with the issues of administration and execution of projects? In which event, some of us have thought ahead of that issue. And we are already thinking that we probably need to go a step further beyond this one when we resolve it, to go to the level of having court administrators who will deal with such issues. So it doesn't be, it will not be the business of the chief judge to start saying, I want to start awarding contract, I want to participate. Because we will get to that level.
Because because I was coming to that. What would financial autonomy, what will people use it for? Do you understand? Is it not only salary people are collecting? No, it's not. So maybe you should break it down.
No, there are a lot
what can financial? At least we know what ASU is asking for. Why they need that money?
Yes.
Why is?
I just told you. I told you during my intro. I mentioned the issue of training, for example. I mentioned the issue of vehicles. Routinely, they ought to have official vehicles. There is the issue of maintenance of courtroom. I mentioned the issue of that is there. There is the issue of their library that has to be updated regularly. Now we are compelled to start doing virtual hearing. Where are the infrastructure? So there are so many issues.
So are you trying to tell me that the executives are not providing these things?
Why would they provide? Because they will tell you there is no money now. What would they do? They will tell you no money. Okay, I know some judges at certain level that have used their vehicle for over 9 years that is breaking down all over the whole road, which ordinarily, by their own regulation, financial regulation in all the state and government generally, the net value of a vehicle is usually 4 years. But 9 years down the line, they are still there begging the governor, please help us. In fact, the worst scenario is that rather than the judiciary even determine which vehicles they want, the executive in most instances are the one that will decide which one they will give you. Even if they like, if the things are going, if you are not careful, they will start giving them tricycle one day. I'm telling you.
But it's not for movement, or
okay, but Dr. Banire.
So that the man could be beaten up when the thing breaks down on the road and is on the street.
Okay, but Dr. Banire, all the state governments have attorney generals.
Yes.
So what are they doing about this? Because they are members of the bar.
Well, I do not understand what they are doing about it. The truth of the matter is that I belong to a group called Concerned Professionals. And part of what we are trying to deal with now is to say that we should start holding professionals responsible, accountable. Yes. That's what, accountable for their acts or misdeeds in governance.
Yes.
In that regard, I would have expected even the NBA to proceed
against
the Attorney General and say, what are you doing? Get out of that place. If they are not listening to you, get out. By the time there is huge turnover of Attorney General, the governors will start listening to.
Yes.
Wait, so where's the role of sacrifice here? Because nobody wants to be the scapegoat.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Because you're saying get out. Nobody. You see,
what is about sacrifice? Would they die if they don't occupy the office?
You see, that's the thing. What are you willing to sacrifice to get this autonomy? Because you see, it's one thing for us to say it. It's another thing to say, you know what, I will put my life on the line for this to happen. Yes. But if you don't have those kind of people that are sacrificial, that are looking at the bigger picture, we might never
well, you don't need majority of them, you only need few of them.
Like how?
Look, I always belong to this.
Okay, so now even within the judiciary,
yes.
have they the way you just said it now about the attorney generals, have they attacked them to say, you know what?
That's not the function of the judiciary. That's the
function
of
the
bar. You know, because I can see that you have a measure of confusion around what judiciary is all about. You see, in judiciary, we have several stakeholders in the system. We are part of them as lawyers. Yes. The bar, that is the function of the bar. We have a body, for example, called the body of benchers.
Yes. Which is what you also belong to.
I belong to the bench. Yeah. That body, for example, has a disciplinary committee that deal with complaints against lawyers. That's the body that handles that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So, if petition comes from Nigerian Bar Association to that body, then that body will anchor it and deal with it. But like we have to look at the issue of this, the code of conduct man, and that allegedly assaulted somebody.
It's not
some
alleged.
lawyers believe, and NBA did a petition now to the disciplinary committee to say, okay, if we cannot remove you as a judge or as chairman of the code of conduct, we should be able to discipline you as a lawyer. Which makes some sense.
So
and what happened?
So what happened now?
No, I think the petition is there. They just file it. It takes time.
Ongoing.
You see, it takes time because it's not so. There's so many petitions against lawyers before the like that much I can tell you. So for me, I think we have to bear the cat at a point.
But
and
Dr. Banire,
that point now.
Let's take a
Wait.
break, Lami.
Okay.
Let's take a break because I think we are getting somewhere now. You know, I need to understand because all these legal matters, well, we'll take a break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.